Bonjour, beautiful Bulldogs. We're back. Your support team is here, ready to provide SEL Session 3. But before we get into Session 3, we have to do a recap of Session 2. Exactly what we wanted you to take from that video. Do you know how to be smart? Do you remember what it means to be smart? Well, remember, during these challenging times with all of this work overload, we wanted you to remember setting goals is critical to your success. And so what type of goals should you set? Right, SMART goals. We want to make sure that you are aware that your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Again, those SMART goals will help you to be successful during these times of feeling overwhelmed with your work. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Then once you set your SMART goals, then it's important to manage your time. That time management piece gets you over the hump of your success.
Greetings, students. This is Mr. Cunningham with your recap. Last time that we met, we talked about time management and how important it is to manage your time. When it comes to time management, be sure to set goals and manage your time effectively. How do you manage your time effectively? Well, you actually find out what does your schedule look like. Begin to chart out or write down in your calendar or in your schedule book when you plan on doing certain things. Also, you can assess your to-do list or your list of things to do. If you're like me, you may even have a list that says things to do, and every day you can check off what you've completed. The next thing you want to do is remain focused on your goal. What is your plan for time management? Begin to do that, and then remember to take a small break so that you can have time to reflect and then also look at your time management to find out if it is going effectively and smoothly.
So we're ready to talk about Session 3. This week, we're culminating Red Ribbon Week. We want to thank you guys so much for participating in Red Ribbon Week. Today is Friday. CMS is drug-free. So we are wearing our red, and we hope you're wearing your red as well to symbolize that we are all drug-free. This week, it is substance abuse and addiction.
We are going to cover a lot of information today, so make sure you're staying tuned. Make sure you're asking a lot of questions, participating in the chat. Teachers, please feel free to pause the video and have that discussion if students have questions or if they have things that they want to discuss. And also, I want to remind everyone, remember, after this video, you can come and we can talk live in our group chat at 10:15. So we want to make sure we get everyone in there and we can have a nice and a great discussion, because the more people in there, the more folks will learn.
We want you to talk about if you enjoyed what we were offering this week during Red Ribbon Week, and maybe give us some suggestions for next school year for the next Red Ribbon Week. So we'll see you in a live link after we finish through this session.
Dear Tim and Moby, what's the difference between using a drug and abusing it? From Gail. Ah, come on, Moby. My inhaler's a drug, and it's not evil. Any substance that changes how your brain or body functions is a drug. Medicines like aspirin and cough syrup are drugs. So are prescription medications, the kind that are only legal under a doctor's care. Every medicine has a correct dose, the amount you're supposed to take at once. The idea is to get the effects you want, but lessen the side effects. Those are sensations caused by the drug that don't serve its intended purpose. Side effects can be unpleasant, like nausea or headaches. Or they can be pleasurable. Taking drugs for these side effects, or taking any drug illegally, is substance abuse. It's very risky. Well, once the drug enters your bloodstream, it changes how your body works. Stimulants fire up your central nervous system and make your heart race. Doctors prescribe them to help people with disorders like ADHD. But unless you take them under a doctor's care, they're no safer than street drugs like cocaine. All of them put you at risk for heart attacks, seizures, and strokes. Depressants, like alcohol, have the opposite effect. They relax the central nervous system, making you feel numb and sleepy. Doctors may prescribe depressants for sleep disorders or anxiety, but they're still risky to abuse. Opioids, like heroin, are highly addictive because they activate the brain's reward system. And prescription opioids, usually given to relieve pain, are just as addictive. They also come in some cough syrups, which can make them seem harmless. But the wrong dose of any of these drugs can slow your heart and breathing until they stop altogether. Hallucinogens, like LSD, affect your thoughts and emotions in unpredictable ways. They disrupt your ability to think clearly. For some, they trigger delusional thoughts, where you're unable to tell fantasy from reality. Finally, there are inhalants, gaseous chemicals that block the flow of oxygen to the brain. They change or kill cells, sometimes leading to permanent brain damage. They can even cause you to suffocate. Unlike other categories of drugs, what inhalants have in common is the way they're taken. The types of chemicals and their effects can fit into one or more of the other categories. In fact, a lot of commonly abused drugs don't fit neatly into a single class. Ecstasy, or Molly, has both stimulant and hallucinogenic effects. And marijuana can have stimulant, depressant, or hallucinogenic effects. The effects of drugs like marijuana depend on the dosage and the person taking them. A dose that feels pleasurable for one person could be scary for someone else. On top of all these health hazards, people on drugs tend to make poor decisions. They might even take risks they wouldn't even normally think of doing, like getting behind the wheel of a car. Bad choices become routine for people who are addicted to a drug or unable to stop. It's true, opioids, depressants, and stimulants are the most addictive. But you can get hooked on anything that makes you feel different, including hallucinogens and inhalants. People who are addicted to a drug feel like they have no choice in using it. Their lives revolve around getting high, and they may lie or steal to do it. They have trouble thinking clearly and making good decisions. That affects their performance in school and sports, their relationships, and even their self-esteem. It's not always easy to spot someone with a drug problem. They often look like anyone else. But there are some warning signs: sudden mood swings, losing interest in hobbies, staying away from friends. If someone you care about is acting this way, talk to them. See if they need any help. Or it's okay to tell a parent, teacher, or other adult you trust. Sometimes the person struggling is a parent, and that can be really tough on their child. It's never the kid's fault. In this case too, it's okay to tell someone you trust, like a teacher or school counselor. Your instincts are probably right that something is going on, even if it isn't drug abuse. Oh, right, I almost forgot. If you feel like drugs are a problem in your life, talk to a trusted adult. There's no shame in admitting that you need help. People can overcome drug problems, but they can rarely do it alone. What's that? No, I feel fine. Stop it.
Okay guys, so we hope you enjoyed the video and you received some really good information from that particular video. So we're going to go ahead and start with our quiz. And remember, we want you guys to put the answers in the chat.
Now, hopefully this quiz you'll be able to see, right?
Right, we're so sorry. Oh my God. It was all Mr. Bradley's fault.
Yeah, they can put it on me. Yeah, that's my fault. My shoulders are big enough. Yeah.
We're so sorry for that little mishap about the last video.
It's all good.
Yes, we're much better now.
Yeah, so hopefully we got the background good and you guys are gonna be able to see this nice and clearly. We're still gonna read it out and we'll just kind of alternate, so just so you guys know. So I'll start off with number one. What is a drug? What is a drug? And we want you to put all your answers in the chat. Every single class, every single teacher, we want to make sure have all the answers in the chat. So go ahead and put it in. We'll give you a few seconds to go ahead and answer. But A is any substance that is designed to be abused. B, any substance that makes you feel funny. C, any substance that affects the functioning of your body. Or D, any substance that's prescribed by a doctor.
So, well, seems like it could be more than one.
I think so too. That's why I was like, we always like to do the deduction thing. Any substance that's designed to be abused, I don't know if a substance is designed to be abused, is it?
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that's
Right.
A definitely ain't the case, right? Then we go B, any substance that makes you feel funny.
Well, drugs do make you feel funny.
Yeah, they do.
Well, how you know, Mr. Ray?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm taking like a, Tylenol.
Oh.
No, I'm taking like a Tylenol.
Okay.
See how Miss White trying to catch a brother up there, right there. Wrong for that one. She wrong for that one. Let's go to C. Any substance that affects the functioning of your body.
I would definitely agree that drugs affects the functioning of your body.
Yeah, I definitely agree with
Even
that
a
too.
simple Tylenol.
Yep.
So, yes.
Yep, absolutely. And obviously D can't be it because you can buy over-the-counter drugs, right? So I think it's C. We'll go with it. Let's click on it. Oh, let's go. Let's go.
When is it okay to use a drug?
Ms. White, she forgot that one.
Okay. So, when is it okay? Well, let's see. When you find it in your parents' medicine cabinet? Oh, wow. Okay. When it's recommended by an adult? When it's given to you by a friend? Or when it's prescribed by your doctor? So, surely we're not taking medication in our parents' medicine cabinet. We're not doing that. When it's recommended by an adult, I don't know that anyone can just recommend you using a drug.
Nah, gotta have an MD behind your name.
When it's given to you by a friend, now we have this to happen often. We do have that to happen, but
Yep.
that's not safe at all.
Yep, that's a very, very dangerous choice. And it's dangerous not because your friend has some sort of alternative or poor intent towards you. It's dangerous just because your friend doesn't know your chemistry, right? It doesn't know how it's gonna affect your body.
So the answer is D, when it's prescribed by your doctor.
Booyah. All right, number 3. Which of the following is an effect of depressants? A, shallow breathing. B, hallucinations. C, excitement. Or D, rapid heart rate. Y'all know Mr. Bradley was like, I was about to say B. I was struggling with how to even pronounce that, but I got it out.
So, of course, a depressant is actually something, it's something that slows you down. You remember from the video? So we're gonna go ahead and say A, slowed breathing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Which of the following is most likely to contain opioids? A, cigarettes. B, alcohol. C, cough syrup. Or D, gasoline. Oh my, I don't know anything about opioids.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one might be
Deep for me.
I don't think it's D, but just because of being gasoline, I don't think gasoline has opioids inside of them. I do believe that cough syrup
Maybe cough syrup? Okay.
does have opioids in it, and this is purely an educated guess because I don't remember this one.
Yeah, so we're gonna go with C. We're gonna go with C. Process of elimination, we're going with C.
Let's go with C. We might be wrong on that one. We're gonna see. All right, number 5. Someone who is experiencing hallucinations, why do I keep getting that word? I don't know. Is A, has a slower heart rate. B, becomes excited. C, sees things that aren't there. Or D, has her body numb from pain. What you think?
Well, of course, hallucinations we know when someone is hallucinating, they're pretty much seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
number 5 would be C. We know
It
that one for
is C.
certain.
Absolutely. C.
Yes. 6. When do drugs begin altering your body chemistry? Oh, that's a good question.
That is.
A, the second you take them. B, when they enter your bloodstream. C, after an hour or so. D, when they reach your brain. Well,
Yes.
so this goes back to the video. I would think, honestly, it should be all of the above.
Yeah, it could be. That's what I'm saying. It actually could be. It could be
Maybe
the second you
a
take them.
choice
It all
over the above.
depends on the particular drug. But I believe I have the right answer. I'm gonna give you a second to put it in though. But I believe I got the right answer.
Let's see. What you say, Mr. Brain?
I think it's when it enters your bloodstream, because it could be very soon, or it could take a second to get into your bloodstream, depending on if it's a vapor, or depending on what the drug or how the drug is coming into your system.
Okay, well, somebody like me who don't even do the drug thing or the alcohol thing, it probably affect me the second I take it.
Right. See, and that's why it could
I have a
be.
low tolerance.
It
so
could be
I'm
multiple on this one, but
thinking,
I'm thinking it's still B.
Okay,
We're gonna go B.
you gonna go with me?
Yeah, let's go on with B.
Okay, number 7. What can you infer about adrenaline from the fact that stimulants cause your body to produce it? A, it makes you feel excited. B, it makes you feel angry. C, it slows your heart rate down. D, it makes you feel depressed. Stimulants. So remember what the video said about stimulants. So I'm gonna go with A, it makes you feel excited.
Yep,
Because it kind of speeds things up. So
Yep.
let's go with A.
it does. Okay, number 8. What is one effect of using marijuana in large amounts? A, improves personal hygiene. B, weight loss. C, memory loss. D, improved short-term memory.
Well, it can be weight loss because they say you get the munchies
That's what I heard.
after you
That's what I heard. And it don't have nothing to do with hygiene.
no,
No.
because then they smell. They
Yeah.
smell like marijuana.
Yeah, A and B out.
It surely can't do that.
Okay.
So it's C or D, either memory loss or improved short-term memory. So it's not improving
No.
your memory at all.
No.
Marijuana does cause some memory loss.
Yep.
So we'll go with C.
Yeah, that one's an easy one too.
Okay. Number 9. You are addicted to a drug when you can take drugs without any risk. You enjoy taking drugs. You can stop taking drugs anytime you want. Or D, your body needs drugs to function. Well, in an addiction, whatever the addiction is, it helps you to function. So I'm going to go with D.
Yep.
Your body needs drugs to function.
Yep. And remember, your body and your brain will make you think you need drugs to function.
Right.
When actuality, you don't. But you know you're addicted when that is the case. So I think it is D as well.
Okay.
All right.
Last question, guys. Last question.
Number 10. Unlike cocaine, caffeine is A, legal. B, a depressant. C, not addictive. D, not a drug.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
So clearly, okay, caffeine is definitely not a depressant because
No.
it is what we use to get hype.
Yeah.
So it's not B. What
Right.
you guys think? Let's see. Put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat because I was about to say we can, because sometimes and some people state the argument that it's not addictive, whereas others really do feel like caffeine is truly addictive.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and I think it is too.
I do too. I don't.
Yep. So I think it is between A and D. What you think? What you
It
think?
is legal.
It is.
And is it a drug? That's the question. So I'm gonna say A.
Yeah, I'm gonna say A too.
You gonna say A?
Yeah, I think it is A too.
All right, let's see.
Let's go.
Booyah.
Let's
We
go.
got this. We
Let's
smart.
go.
We smart. We
Y'all
smart.
know,
We
y'all,
smart.
y'all know what the normal slide says after that, right? Mr. Bradley wins again. Okay, guys, we just finished the quiz, right? We got a lot of good information. We've done the brain pop, we've done the quiz. Now let's kind of drill that down and let's talk about us in regards to drugs and alcohol as it relates to us specifically. First of all, we always want to talk about the school environment, right? So when we're talking about school, I always sit up here and think about what kind of things can I sit up here and lose if I'm doing those things, right? And again, I'm from I've never used drugs. So I can't even come from the perspective of I've done this, so now I know this, right? But I have, and I do know people who have. And I do know, and I did have friends when I was your age that did, and how that related to them and what type of obstacles and what type of struggles they did have to go through. So when we're talking about school, obviously the biggest risk that you're sitting up here leveraging when we're talking about using drugs or having drugs in the school environment is your future, right? That's just kind of Captain Obvious. Your future is what you're leveraging or risking when we're talking about drugs and having drugs in the school environment. Now, obviously, we want to always, and you'll hear Mr. Bradley talk about this a lot, we want to make sure our school environment is safe, right? We're talking about safe from people, but we're also talking about safe from things and items we bring into this building. So when we're talking about the virtual environment, you guys are at home, right? You're doing your thing at home. And so when we're talking about safety, you don't want anyone to come in your home with something that's unsafe. Well, we want to treat CMS as our home. We want it to be as safe as your home is. And if your home isn't safe, we want to make it safe, right? And we want to do that by making great choices. So it starts with you and your decision and your choice to sit up there and do the right thing. Your choice and your decision to do the right thing when Mr. Bradley's not there, right? When Dr. Reese or Dr. Robinson or Miss Gooden or Miss Lewis is not there. When your support team and your teachers are not there. That's when we know we're making those great decisions. When we can make those decisions independently and we can sit up there and think about how it's going to affect us first and foremost, because I tell my students all the time, I want you to be selfish. This is your time to be selfish, right? But part of your responsibility as a good person, right, is to make those good choices also for everyone else's safety. Okay, so if you make good choices and don't bring those things in this environment, our school will be safe as a whole. Okay, then I always move on to the next thing, and this is a debate that I always have with my children. Y'all know Mr. Bradley got big family. Where I got 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and then I have a blended family of 2 more boys, right? And I always talk to them about peers. Because in this area and in your middle school years, peers are really, really, really important to you, right? But then we think about how can peers be affected with me making a choice to use drugs or not use drugs. Our goal is obviously to make a choice to not use drugs, right? But here's what I always say, I want to show you the flip side of that coin. The flip side of that coin is if I choose to use drugs, I could impact my friendships. I could lose friends who don't make that decision. I've made a choice not to deal with people who have made a choice to use drugs. I don't want that in my life. I don't want that a part of my surroundings. I don't want that a part of my culture per se, right? So when they make that choice, we then couldn't become friends anymore. I also think about, and here's the biggest thing I want you to take away from this, is the fact that you can lose friends forever, whether it's through sickness or death. And that's the real reality of drugs. That's the reality that, again, even if people might think it's cool or people might, portray like it's cool, that's the real reality of the situation. That a friend could be here today, and because of a choice to use drugs, could not be here tomorrow. So the goal is to make sure the people we care about are here, right? The people we care about have those memories and have those experiences and those life experiences, that they're able to experience those things safely. And that's why we want to make sure we make great choices. The third thing that I think is really, really important, and again, I said peers is number 2, school number 1, because again, but you know, we can rank them in a lot of different orders. But the third topic I'm gonna talk about, and to me, it's not third, it's really number 1, is my family. I'm thinking about my family first and foremost. I thought about, the biggest thing I used to tell people when I was growing up is, I wasn't scared of my mom and my dad. I really wasn't. I was scared of my brothers and sisters, right? I was the youngest of 7. So my brothers and sisters scared the living daylights out of me to make great decisions. And it wasn't so much scared of me worrying about being hurt or them doing something to me. It was about disappointing them. Sometimes disappointing people can be a whole lot more worse than a consequence or a corrective action, right? So seeing the disappointment or seeing the possibility of a disappointment and that thought of the possibility of disappointing my brothers and sisters who worked very, very hard to give me opportunities that they didn't even have, right? By making a selfish choice to use drugs or alcohol was something that just deterred me. I didn't want to lose their trust. I didn't want to lose their faith they had in me, right? So what I want you guys to think about is, think about the people who are important to you, okay? Whether it's your grandmother, whether it's a mother, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a cousin, think about the people who are important to you and what you could lose by making that choice. And I know some of you might be thinking this, well, I know family members who do this, and I know family members who do that. Yes, I'm not saying that people don't make choices and a bad result doesn't necessarily happen at that time. But here's what we talk about when we're talking about learning, right? We talk about being very consistent, and we talk about things happening over time. What I want you guys to understand is our job as educators is hopefully to educate you as much as possible, towards you can make the right decision at the right time to avoid some of those pitfalls. I'm telling you right now, if you don't make a right decision when it comes to drugs, pitfalls with your family, whether it's a consequence, whether it's a corrective action, whether it's a loss of trust, they will happen. They will happen, and it will affect your relationships. And those are the relationships, I know everyone always says this, again, everyone says this. My mama, my daddy, my grandmama, my brothers, my sisters, those are the most important things to you, right? Think about those things beforehand. Think about those people and those things that are important to you before you make a poor choice or a poor decision. Think about how it's going to affect them. Think about how it's going to affect you. Think about those things. And the last thing, the number 4 thing that I wanted to talk about, real briefly, real quick, is the obvious fact of the legal aspect of it, right? It's not legal for teenagers. It is not legal. Now, some people make the argument of, and we're going to have this discussion once we sit up there and have this discussion at 10:15. We're going to dive into this a whole lot deeper than this, right? But the argument that always is it's legal in certain states. First and foremost, I always sit up there and tell people, my sisters live in Colorado, right? My nieces and nephews, they grew up in Colorado. So I get it's legal in certain states. But it's not legal here. And it's not legal for you. And it's never, no matter what state you're in, legal for teenagers or preteens to use drugs. It's not. So automatically you're gonna have a record, right? And with records, and my 8th graders are gonna hear this once we come back into the building. We talk about ignorance is not an excuse for breaking the law, right? And we'll go over this as a whole big old presentation that I talked to just my 8th graders about. One of the things I talk to you guys about is parole and probation. Those are 2 things that's almost worse than going to jail, because those are the things that send you back to jail. A probation violation could be you need to meet with a probation officer, but you have to work And then what are you going to make that decision off of? Go to work so you can pay the probation officer, or go to probation officer and lose your job? That's where, again, when we have those things that are on us because we made a bad decision at 13, 14, 15, that now we're on probation, or now we're on parole because we've been to jail because we made a bad decision about using drugs, it can affect us long term, right? And we're going to get into the rights. It can affect your voting rights. It can affect your jobs. It can affect a lot of different things. That's why I say 10:15 is going to be a great discussion. You got to be there at 10:15. 10:15, you got to log in because this is where we can dive into stuff. But I want you to remember those 4 things: school, our peers, family, and then the legal aspect of it. Think about those things and how it can affect when you make that decision or that choice to think about using drugs. And we're going to make that smart decision and not use drugs. Talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Greetings, I'm Mr. Cunningham, and I'm going to be going over why middle schoolers use drugs. Middle school is when kids first become teenagers or preteens. At this age, you may start exploring your different options or things that you think that you feel is an alternative or something else to do outside of school. And you may start stretching your wings and testing out some of the newfound independence. But not all independence is good independence. And this is why we need to start thinking about what activities considerably come off as substance abuse. Activities or substances that are forbidden can often seem appealing, attractive, or something to try out. However, that might not be the way to go in all cases, especially if they can be very harmful to your body and they can also have long-lasting effects. There are a number of reasons why young teens use drugs. Every kid is different, and each has a different factor in their life that may lead them to try drugs or to not. The possible causes of substance abuse among youth range from curiosity to a desire to fit in or to try to treat some mental health issue or some problem. But drugs will never fix anything. They actually will make things worse. Some preteens and teenagers may try drugs for popularity. In other words, they think that this may make them popular. Popularity is one of the biggest concerns among middle school students. At this age, social dynamics change abruptly. Making and keeping friends becomes more complicated. It is common for certain students to form cliques or small groups of friends that partake in certain things that may be harmful. But you can also have a small group that focuses on learning and also focuses on getting your schoolwork done. So there are many reasons to meet other than using drugs or trying out a newfound substance. Some cliques, they can put an immense amount of peer pressure on other students to try to fit in. Middle schoolers may be pressured to try drugs, which may cause them to think that they're popular if they did actually try a drug or a substance. But don't follow the crowd. Let the crowd follow you. Drugs also can cause emotional stress. In middle school, some students are experiencing physical, emotional, and social changes, if not all students. And that can be the onset of puberty and considerably amount of stress, causing a lot of stress for your young minds. Bullying is especially prevalent and harmful at this age. These worries are added to heavier coursework at school and a greater pressure to perform and to be academically getting the best grades possible. So all of that can create emotional stress. With all of this extra stress and without the coping skills to deal with it, it is no surprise that mental illnesses like anxiety or worry and depression and feeling down are common. Middle school students may be desperate for a quick fix or to escape, and they may turn to drugs or alcohol as a solution. Middle school drug use facts and statistics. Like other substances, middle schoolers are consuming less alcohol today than they did 10 years ago. However, the latest statistics show that binge drinking rates among middle school students have remained steady in the past few years. So the downward trend seems to have stopped. The percentage of 8th grade students who say they drank alcohol in the past month is still at 8.2%, or nearly 1 in every 12 students. This is particularly concerning because alcohol abuse by children can seriously disrupt brain development and cognitive function. Marijuana. Marijuana is one of the few substances that hasn't declined in use by teens recently. In fact, marijuana has now surpassed traditional cigarettes and middle school smoking rates. According to the CDC, 6.8% of students say they tried marijuana before they turned 13 years old. With the rise of vaping, 2.6% of 8th graders now vape marijuana as well. Like alcohol, underage marijuana use can disrupt brain development in children and has serious negative impacts on their academic performance. With the legalization of marijuana in several states and possibly more in the future, marijuana use among youth is likely to increase. Don't be a part of that statistic. Inhalants are things that you inhale. Inhalants are household fixtures like gasoline, keyboard cleanser, paint thinner, markers, glue that give off noxious fumes that can get people high. These drugs are extremely dangerous but readily available to younger children. This ease of access is perhaps why 5% of 8th graders say that they have used inhalants in their lifetime. Fewer teens believe that occasional inhalant use is harmful, a belief that puts them at great risk for suffering from unintended consequences of inhalant use and abuse. One of the dangers of inhalant use is sudden sniffing and the sniffing death syndrome. One of the most commonly misused solvents, butane, becomes very cold when sprayed directly into the throat. This can cause muscles in the throat to spasm for a long time, and it can prevent breathing and eventually can cause suffocation. Other inhalants can cause cardiac arrest or fatal cardiac and abnormal heartbeat that can be deadly. Lastly, we want to talk about over-the-counter and prescription drugs. Children who abuse over-the-counter drugs like cough syrups and pills take the substances in high doses to get high. With these types of medications present in the medicine cabinets of most households, they are easily accessible to children and teenagers. Though it could seem innocuous or very easy to get your hands on, cough syrup is one of the medicines most commonly abused by kids. I don't know about you, the taste of cough syrup, I can't imagine thinking that this is popular or cool to do. Some cough syrups and cold medicines, like certain types of NyQuil, they contain alcohol. Teenagers sometimes drink large quantities of these medications to get drunk. Kids and teenagers also sometimes misuse prescription medications, especially painkillers. Fortunately, the recent opioid epidemic hasn't affected children in the same way that it has impacted adults across the country. Yet, prescription drug abuse by teens is still dangerously common. Among students in junior high, 7.8% report having used prescription medications for non-prescription purposes. In other words, people are using them and they're not sick, but they're using them to achieve some form of high. Here are the effects of middle school drug abuse. Drug abuse affects every aspect of middle school student life. Depending on the substance, the health effects range from developmental delays to fatal illnesses and injuries. Mentally, it can stunt a young teen's cognitive function and can cause mental health disorders. Alcohol or drug use during school years can also lower their academic performance, and you don't want that, right? And those who tend to use have much lower grades than those who don't. Ironically, though peer pressure may turn a kid towards drugs in the first place, drug use can make it difficult for them to make friends. So they may stand off to the side or maybe not have as many friends as they possibly could because they're using a substance that normally most children shouldn't be using, and it's just not making them feel really good. Now, there are also legal consequences as well, as drug and alcohol use is a major contributing factor to child crime rates. Kids and teens often steal money in order to buy drugs, or they steal alcohol or other substances to get high on. As many as 4 out of 5 juveniles who are incarcerated were under the influence of drugs or alcohol while committing the crimes they were arrested for. Most of these children do not receive substance abuse treatment while in juvenile detention. So, all in all, we understand a little bit more about how drug use can be so devastating to the life of a middle school student. Make the right choice, and remember, don't follow the crowd, let the crowd follow you.
Try to take a stand. Oh, 'cause what I'm dealing is who I am. Boy, if I can do it, I know you can. Oh.
We may be young, but here's what we say. We must live a drug-free life today.
So I'm gonna be drug-free. A-to-B.
so violent? Why they so bad? Why kids do it just because of their dad? Other people do it cause it look real cool. Don't be a fool, kids stay up in school. All kids are not so bad. The ones that don't smoke, man, we should be glad. We should get drugs, put them in the bag. Throw them in the trap, make the judge dealer mad. Why they gotta drink? I ain't talking about soda. Do drugs young, you gon' do it when you're older. Stop being an actor, just show me the real you. Did you not know that alcohol can really kill you? Hey, Joe, hey, the last day I feel like a million. I know the change starts with me, so I'm gonna be drug-free. Hey, Joe, let's get feel like a million. I know the change starts with me, so I'm gonna be drug-free. H-O-P, let's give hope to our community. Change is inevitable, it starts with me. Drug-free kids, that's what we'll be. I'm really drug-free cause that's the way to be. I made straight A's, you should get like me. Dope shouldn't be the coolest thing in this industry. Hope is on my mind, I won't let drugs hinder me.
So come on family, let's clean up the streets. Maybe one day we can make drugs history. Put down the alcohol, let's be all that we can be. Call me Young Obama, hope is my identity.
If you're struggling and you need a helping hand, call on me. I'll be your friend. We'll build you up and help you stand. If we kids can do it, we know you
Well, students, that concludes our SEL Session 3 and it culminates Red Ribbon Week.
Substance abuse is a factor that we must overcome in middle school. We had an opportunity today to go over some facts, some statistics, break down to you what certain aspects of substance abuse are so that we all know to avoid substance use and abuse.
Now we want you to jump in at 10:15 and log into our group towards we can have more of an in-depth discussion about drugs. So make sure you tune in. We need everyone to participate and everyone there. So log in 10:15.